One of the biggest problems on any construction project isn't the work, it's the communication.
In this episode of Chicks in Construction, we're sharing practical communication tips that help homeowners and project managers work better with contractors and trades.
Clear expectations, better outcomes, fewer surprises. Let's dive in. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Chicks in Construction. I am your host, Mikki Paradis, and I have two illustrious co-hosts today.
Hi, I'm Jessica Abreu, and our special guest today is...
Hi, I'm Nicole Fella.
Listen, here's the deal, y'all. We had Nicole on the show last year, and I just want to tell you the story. I told her this before leading up, but this is news to her. I was talking, as we know, I'm trying to get us an interior designer on the show because we have questions. I was talking to an interior designer who is a subscriber, and she said that Nicole's episode was the best. She's like, of all the episodes, it was the best. And I was like, well, good news. We're having her on the show tomorrow. So the timing was just a delight. So listen, I'm not going to lie to your faces. We could have been a little bit more intentional with some of the guests last year. So we are trying to have them back on the show to be more intentional. And we're going to try that today. So
just something on a prayer.
Welcome back to the pod. Happy to have you.
Yes, happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit, for those who are watching, this is their first one with you on. Tell us your background, about your company, give us the scoop.
So I am an interior designer by education. So I have my bachelor's in interior design.
What? I did not know this. I've been trying to source an interior designer, and here you are.
Yeah.
Guys, I already did it without even knowing I did it.
Look at me.
Yeah. So my degree is in interior design. I have worked in residential design my whole career, and worked for a local company, the Bath Remodeling Center, for 11 years before I took over ownership of the company.
Oh, amazing.
So I bought out the previous owner. I was the licensed general contractor for the company. The previous owner was not, so I was their qualifier. And now use my interior design and general contracting skills to put together beautiful bathrooms for our clients.
That is a really rare combo. One of the things that we realized is why the importance of talking about interior designers is because a lot of homeowners assume that a general contractor is also an interior design. And that is actually a wildly rare combo. So you're kind of a unicorn.
I am a unicorn.
Look at you. Oh,
Love it.
So here's the deal, y'all. I ran into Nicole at a NAWIC event at the end of the year, and we were talking about the pod and just about our goals for this year. And she was sharing some stories of communication that did not go well. And as we were talking, the more we got into it, the more we realized, wait a second, maybe communication and communication styles in construction and when you're doing construction projects should be a topic we should cover. So that is what we're going to cover today. Now, I did. Look at this. If you're listening, I'm holding up show notes because I made notes today because my word of the year is focus, and I'm trying really hard.
You're doing so good with your word.
Thank you. I am trying to be as focused as a focused lady can be. So I have notes. I'm not going to read them. I did write down some important things. And when I say I mean me and my best friend ChatGPT. We really worked it out. ChatGPT works a lot on the podcast.
I love ChatGPT.
If they're a full-time employee. I do want to rename it, give it a better name, like Kiki, my assistant.
I think we still need to work on the name.
Okay, that's fair. I did not get good reception from that name, so we'll keep workshopping the name. As I was doing research and kind of putting this together, it was one of those things where we realized understanding what your communication style and factoring that in when you are selecting your general contractor is really important. How are you seeing that play out, or how would you like to see that play out when you're working with clients? What do you try to communicate clearly, but where are you kind of seeing that clearly wasn't communicated the way in a way that they understood?
So there's a lot of factors that go into it, where they are emotionally, experience-wise, People have lots of different levels of experience. They've done some DIY stuff themselves. They've worked with other contractors. They've watched a lot of HGTV.
Oh, our favorite.
Our
favorite.
So they think that, they have different levels of knowledge when they come in.
Yeah.
And that knowledge frames how you interpret your information.
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you to close your eyes and describe a beautiful day on a beach and give you as much descriptors as possible, but you're still putting your own spin on it. You're picturing a completely different picture than what I'm picturing, because you're taking your own real life experiences and things you've seen and you've done, and you're putting them into that. And that comes into play with this.
Yeah.
Emotions vary. So if somebody's been stressed because they've had a bad experience before with a contractor, they bring that in. And one of the biggest things that we find is people will say they understand, they say yes, and they don't understand. And whether it's just that they're afraid to admit it, or they think that it makes them look like they're not intelligent, not having that knowledge. Yeah, like not having that knowledge has nothing to do with intelligence.
Right.
So like people should be encouraged to ask questions often and early in the process.
Yes. Yeah. One of the things I wrote down is like the most construction disputes aren't about bad work. It's really about unmet expectations. And we see that in our homeowner horror stories, because we kind of get this really interesting range of people writing in and sharing their stories, which we love you for doing that. Please go to chicksandconstruction.com and share your stories. So we get this range of people who genuinely had an outrageously bad experience and people who feel like they had an outrageously bad experience. But when we, from that, 10,000 foot above the situation view, look at it, it's like, I actually think you had this horrible experience, but it seems like you had a lot of expectations that weren't met. And those expectations that you have, that at the end of the day, if they're not met, you feel like you had this bad experience. Unless you communicate those expectations with your general contractor, there's a really good chance they're not getting met.
Yeah.
So understanding what your communication style is and making sure you're looking for a general contractor that kind of works well with your communication style, I think is actually could be a game changer in changing the outcome of your experience.
Yeah. I mean, what you said is 100% true. So most issues with construction are communication issues.
Yeah.
And so it's a homeowner expected something, envisioned something, and it's just not what was there. And there's ways that contractors can help mediate that situation, or mitigate, I guess. Your contract has to be clear.
Yeah.
So as a contractor, we have to put as much information as we can in there. As a homeowner, you have to make sure you understand that information, that it is the same thing that you are expecting, and that nothing is missing from what you are. I mean, I've had clients in the end or halfway through the process who say, well, we talked about that. We had discussed that.
Yeah.
We discussed dozens of things during the design process, and some of those things made it into the final design and the final contract, and some didn't.
Yeah.
And
so it's like making sure that you're not assuming because we talked about it, even though it's not in the contract, she's going to have it in there. Yes. So that would be like one of your things to be like, hey, listen, if you really want X, Y, and Z in your renovation, and you did talk to your, because this actually, one of the homeowners, the builder of the year homeowner, that was an issue that they had. So they told the builder that they wanted Trex. The builder gave them a price. It didn't specify in the quote that it was Trex they were using. Loaded regular deck board at their house to do their deck. And they were like, no, this isn't what we talked about. And they were like, well, this is what we quoted. So it cost them like $30,000 more because that Trex is spicy price. Yeah. So that's like a perfect example of making sure that you're communicating what specifically you want, especially if you have specifics that you're like, this is a non-negotiable. I want this kind of deck boarding, or I want this kind of tile. and making sure not just that you have mentioned it, but it is in your contract.
Yes.
Okay. That is hot tip. Hot tip. One of the things that I was kind of doing a little research on is kind of the core problem is like we're using the same words, but it seems like there's a different meaning associated to it based on, like you said, experience and kind of how, whether you have any kind of construction experience or whether you've done a renovation before or if this is your first one. There's such a big difference in like your understanding of those words and the meanings. Like when you're dealing with a homeowner, are there certain words that you like avoid using? Because like I had some like examples of like common phrases that cause confusion being like, oh, we're going to do that soon. Well, when is soon? My idea of soon is yesterday.
Yeah.
Your idea of soon might be next week. So like, don't tell me soon. Tell me what day. Is it tomorrow? Is it next week?
That takes me to the Spaceballs quote, when will then be now?
When will then be now? When will then be now? Put it in writing. I mean Spaceballs. I love that. I love that we're quoting Spaceballs. I love this for us.
And Jessica does not know what that is.
Oh, because Jessica
didn't watch movies.
She didn't get to watch movies as a child. She was deprived. As her right to watch Spaceballs. And honestly, that's child abuse.
It is. They're making a second one. You have to now watch the first one in order.
Yeah, you have to watch the first one, which is a delight, and then watch the second one.
All right,
that's exciting.
It'll be on. Well, it's going to snow, so it'll be something that
you'll have plenty of time
to watch.
Oh, I love this for us.
But yeah, there are plenty. There are words. Custom is a word that can mean different things, and again, the way you interpret a word, means something. If you go to the dictionary,
custom being really tricky because some people think custom is like, oh, you made it all from scratch.
You built it from scratch. Yeah.
But custom from a design perspective could be, I designed this for you in a way that I'm going to customize it. So like you could take pre-manufactured shelving and customize it for it to be custom for somebody's closet or, things like that. But if a homeowner is thinking, oh, they're going to build custom cabinets, then they might be thinking, oh, this is going to be all.
And there's positive and negative connotations to that too.
Yeah.
So there are things that we use the word custom for or customize, and homeowners hear cha-ching.
Oh,
and they think, oh my gosh, that's going to be so expensive.
Yeah,
like I don't want something that's completely custom. Well, that doesn't necessarily equate.
Yeah.
You know, there's ways to customize ready to assemble cabinets that are going to be a much more affordable price point compared to a semi-custom line that has a lot more options compared to a full custom line. So there's different levels of custom.
Yeah, that custom is such a good word. So standard was another word. Like industry standard is a word I actually use a lot. And the funny thing is, in my industry, we do know what that industry standard is, but a homeowner would not know what industry standard is.
No.
And so using words like that in a contractor, when a general contractor is using words like industry standard, I'm not going to say it's a red flag because I don't think people do it like, oh, I'm going to say industry standard maliciously, and then we're not going to have a definition for this word. I don't think people are doing that.
Yeah.
But when you see words that you don't understand in your contract or that are ambiguous, this could mean one thing to me and it could mean something else to you. Asking for clarification. Well, what is the industry standard? Is there a document that states what an industry standard is? So getting like clear about that. So then we've got the examples like when people says, oh, we're going to get to that sometime in the next 7 to 10 days. No, what day? Be more specific. Ask for more specifics if you're the homeowner, and if you're the general contractor, be more specific.
And does 7 to 10 days mean 7 to 10 work days?
Business
or
days?
Does that count weekends?
Yeah.
What is a business day in construction? Does that include Saturday?
Right. I think we over communicate.
Yeah.
So I have,
like in your company?
Yes.
Okay.
As a whole, I have employees who've done work with other companies before they worked for me, while they worked for me, just different projects that we don't do. And I am told the level of communication that we give is unheard of.
Yeah.
And so there's power in knowledge.
Yeah.
but knowledge can also be used as a weapon.
True.
So there has to be a happy medium where, as a contractor, we give a certain level of communication to the client so that they know what they can expect.
Yeah.
They are comfortable with that. And it also doesn't tie you into something, right? Construction is a very fluid industry.
Yes.
So we have a scope of work. We know what our timeline is, and we are more specification oriented, right? Like we're going task by task and we're getting these tasks done in order to check all the boxes. And customers are more like results driven. They just want to see the finished product at the end. So there's differences in that. And so we want to be able to communicate as much as we possibly can to them to make sure that they understand the process, because that builds a level of trust.
Yeah.
And when people trust you, they listen more.
Oh, so true.
So if we can get that level of trust to them and give them as much information as possible without it becoming a weapon, right? Like, give us an example. Like,
how is over communicating weaponized? Like, as an example.
So we give a big scope of work. Like when I sit down with a client initially, I tell them this is what basically happens each day of the project.
Right.
We have a very structured timeline for our remodels. We just do bathrooms and some closets and kitchens, but we're just mostly doing bathrooms.
Yeah.
And so we know what our timeline is. So I know what happens day 1, day 4, day 5. I know what happens each day, and I can, give those out to clients. And we have a DocuSign that goes out and gives those breakdowns. But we are very explicit in that too, that like, this isn't set in stone.
Right.
If we have here that the framing inspection happens on day 4 and that happens on day 5, it's okay. It doesn't mean that your project is behind schedule, and it doesn't mean things are falling through the cracks. And I think that's what I see from clients occasionally, is like, well, the grading guys didn't show up today. We didn't get our countertops today. And it's like, don't worry about it. We handled it. We already know. So there's a level of communication that we give them, but we also are not like giving them daily updates of like, okay, this is what's happening today. This is what's happening tomorrow. This is what you can expect. It's more of an overview.
Okay.
Right. Of this is what will be going on. This is what's happening.
Like these are the steps that need to happen. So like
an outline.
Like an outline. Yeah. Maybe say instead of on day something, it'll be like step 1. This will happen. Step 2. This.
That's such a great idea, is giving people like, hey, this is the process. Here's what I want you to know what to expect, especially because like when you're doing a bathroom renovation, people aren't moving out of their houses for a bathroom renovation. So they're living through it. And I think like knowing that they can mentally go through and look at the list and be like, all right, this is done. Okay, I'm halfway there. Yeah. I think that's brilliant. But I can also see the side of it, obviously, in what I do, I'm not even dealing with the owners of the apartment complexes, but my general contractors do. And so we're working on a job in Apex right now, and the owner is unique. Unique is how I would put it. And he is very like, this hasn't been done. We're behind. And that's really how construction works. Like, we have this idea of like, okay, this is how we're going to try to make it happen. But at the end of the day, if we can get to the finish line roughly in the amount of time that we said it's going to take, like,
and on budget.
On budget. I mean, my God, today.
That's what I was going to say is like, so we have a typical 13-day turnaround time for a bathroom remodel.
That's really good. Amazing.
And so that is 13 business days.
Business days, guys.
Not Sundays.
And we are there.
Or Saturday.
Sorry.
And then we're there straight through.
Yeah.
So I don't come in a day or two, leave for a week, come back a day or two. So it's not 13 days spread out over months. It is 13 consecutive business days.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
As long as we are in and out of that house in 13 business days, we are not behind schedule.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So if my countertops typically go in on day 8 and they don't go in until day 10, that didn't delay anything, because my plumber doesn't usually come back until day 12.
Yeah.
So nothing got
that
delayed.
Expertise that you have that knows the flow and knows the schedule and is like, hey guys, listen, it's almost like you have fluff built in there for like the shenanigans that will shenan once and shenan again because it's construction. And that's just how that works.
Yeah.
what is it? The phrase like we plan and God laughs or something like that. I mean, it's just, that's a huge piece. So I love the idea that almost like over communicating can, and maybe that's why general contractors, every single one of our horror stories, it starts with bad communication. And so part of me wonders, like, maybe general contractors started out communicating overly, got shot in the foot because they said something was going to happen this day. It didn't. And
It could be.
Yeah.
And, Becky came for that guy's whole throat because he didn't meet that deadline. And he was like, I'm never giving a deadline again.
And this is just a thing that I just see in the world, is that women are more detail oriented.
Facts.
And we like a plan. We like knowing what's going to happen.
We do love a plan.
We do. And guys are not. So there are so many more general contractors who are men than they're just like, it's gonna get done. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, sweet britches. Oh my God. Could you imagine if somebody actually came up with that?
I think it's great that you have like, this is what's gonna happen.
I communicate in the way that I would want to receive information. Right. And so that's the only way. Like, I'm very much, I want to know the why behind things. Right? So if I'm learning something, like, I'm all in learning and know all the details.
Yeah.
If I'm watching a show, I am deep diving every single information and teaching my husband all of it. He does not care. He doesn't want to know.
He's like, babe, just let me watch it.
I was trying to zone out here and just enjoy.
But I am doing all the research, and that's how I communicate too. So I want to have that level of communication. I want to explain it. And there are some people who are like, yeah, we've done this before. That sounds very much like what we experienced. We get it. Great. There are some people who have absolutely no idea, and that's where you get more of the yeses. If somebody hasn't done it before and doesn't have any experience with it, they'll give you that. Okay,
sounds great.
And then you find out they're like, well, what was that? That's not what you said. That's not what I expected. So that being able to receive that information, like, everybody has different learning styles. Everybody has different communication styles.
Yeah.
Like, definitely don't be afraid to be like, what does that mean? Yeah.
So that's like first tip is ask questions. Just the reality is, I know it sounds like simple, but and to be fair, if you don't think about a question in the moment, like, that's totally fine. Hector and I have very different communication styles, and he, my mind is going all the time. He's pretty much just shows up. Like, he's just information comes in, and like the next day he'll be like, oh, by the way. So it's fine if in the moment you like don't understand something and you don't even realize you don't understand it. But the second that you feel like, I don't really know what this means, that's when you need to be reaching out and asking questions. And as far as like helping homeowners spot kind of the disconnects early on, if you're asking questions and not getting answers, or if you're feeling at the very, like, even at the interview process, like you're not being listened to, or, your opinions, you're not feeling the communication vibes, that's an early indication that this isn't a great fit for you. Like, paying attention and caring about how you're being communicated with, I honestly think will be a huge impact on the vibes, if you will, of your renovation. Yeah. So I think that is a huge thing to focus on. It's not just the price. It's not just all the other things you have to think about when you're hiring a GC. But it's also like, do they communicate in a way that makes me feel comfortable? Do we have the same communication style? Do I understand them? Do I feel like they're using really big words, or they're kind of like talking to me in a way that's like, what is it, layman's terms? So those are things to consider. And then, do you feel comfortable asking this person questions? When you ask questions, do you get answers that make sense to you and that you feel confident with? So I think that's like a great way to kind of start thinking about communication.
Yeah. I think I said last time, like, it's a relationship.
Yeah.
You're in a relationship with this person. Yeah. So you have to be able to have that level of communication, have a level of trust and understanding for that length of time.
When you say that you don't give daily updates, like, I'm assuming that means you're not literally calling them at the end of every day being like, all right, here's what happened. Here's what didn't happen.
Right.
But I'm assuming that you are keeping them informed. Because what I want to do is help set expectations. What is a reasonable level of communication expectation versus an unreasonable level of communication expectation?
So we actually have a DocuSign that goes out that says,
Oh my God, I love
reasonable communication expectation. So we send out communications at the end of day 1.
Yeah.
Usually somewhere around day 6 or 7, somewhere around day 10,
Right.
day 13.
Okay.
So they get 4 like set times of communication in there.
And then obviously if anything goes wrong, you're communicating with them in addition to that.
Yeah. So if there's something like we get a storm
Yeah.
and the guys can't get out of their driveway and things going to be delayed, they're getting communication with that, right? Like we don't ever want our clients just be like, I don't know when they're going to show up.
Oh yeah, they didn't show up today.
Yeah.
And
And
nobody
I don't
called
know when
me.
they're coming back.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. Like
It's apocalyptic ice and snow, but they better come to my bathroom.
No, that's legit a thing. Like I got a spicy email from a client because we didn't show up on Monday. And I was like, what? Come again? Like the world was shut down on Monday. For those of you who don't know, we live in North Carolina, does not have the infrastructure for snow events. We don't get them very often, so it's fine until it's not. And we're currently in we're in a moment, okay?
Yeah.
We're global warming real hard up in here.
And the world shut down.
Yeah. It was like an inch,
No, it wasn't
maybe.
even an inch.
I don't know. I don't really measure things. I stayed in my jams the entire time. So imagine my surprise when I got this spicy email about, how come you oh, you mean when the world was shut down? Yeah, we weren't getting in our cars and driving to your job site. Yeah. Sorry about that. So that's a great thing. Like paying attention to how much level of communication you want versus how much level of communication that general contractor is willing to give you. And I love the idea of you guys saying in a DocuSign, hey, this is how much your communication you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And then that way they go into it knowing this is when I expect to hear from my GC. Yeah. This is when I expect to get these updates.
Like when they send you spicy text, be like, refer back to the DocuSign.
Please reference my previous email.
So I don't honestly text with clients because I try to separate that. Yeah. But I have had a client more recently that communication was a big problem with. And we tried to be as communicative as possible and detailed oriented. And they just were not budging or not understanding, right?
Yeah.
And that's a whole different story. But she had texted us, both me and my project manager, at like 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. And we did not respond.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then the next morning, we responded via email, which is the way that we instruct our clients to communicate with us. And so I responded to her also via text and said, hey, please just know all communication has to come through the email.
Yeah.
My whole team, my whole office team monitors that email. So this way you definitely get a response. Somebody's going to see it. And we're not using our personal contact info after hours and all. And the response I got back from her was that she was en route to go meet her new grandbaby and that she couldn't deal with me and my stress at this level. I was like,
okay.
But you could text me at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night with a question. And that does not matter what level that brings my stress to.
Right.
But when I'm politely and respectfully asking you to utilize the communication guidelines that we've provided,
then you're stressing her out to the point where she just literally can't with you.
Yeah.
So this brings us to a good point. Like, we're in a weird time to be alive right now. It's just a real weird time to be alive in the sense where I don't know what is happening. Like, did moms stop raising their kids? I'm not sure what's going on. But this idea that like I can speak to you however I want because I'm paying you to do a job. I don't know who told you guys that or anybody watching that thinks that's a thing. It's actually not. Respectful communication, no matter what your communication style is important. I'm a very direct communicator. I feel like we probably all would imagine that to be pretty accurate.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, she's like, no, it's not so. And even like I have to be very intentional when I'm communicating with people, especially when I'm kind of in direct communication mode, to do it, communicate in the way that I communicate, but respectfully. You can be a direct kind of speaker, but also do it respectfully. And I've been in phases of my life where I was so epically stressed out that I was unable to communicate respectfully with people. And here's the thing, guys, that's not the fault of anybody but me. So, here's an example. I had a mosquito service. And I also love the bees. I'm a big fan. Like my neighbor down the street, one of the ones I don't hate, he keeps like 36 beehives. He makes amazing honey, like big fan. So I don't want to be out here in these streets murdering my neighbor's bees. It's like, I'm trying to kill your children. So I hired this mosquito company and they came out and sprayed my yard. And their whole claim to fame was that the owner of their company, the founder of their company kept bees. So obviously he cares so much about the bees. Well, the 16-year-old kid they hired to come spray my yard, or he's probably not 16, but the 18-year-old kid, that he doesn't care about bees. So he comes out, he sprays my yard at a time where you're not supposed to spray, and a bunch of bees died, and I was hot. Also, I was not in a great place mentally. So I call this mosquito company and I read them the riot act, and their response was so perfect. They were like, ma'am, I just want you to know, like, this isn't okay. And while we appreciate that you're upset about this, like the way that you're communicating with us it's not respectful and it's not okay. And we're going to actually not keep you as a client. So I got fired. I was like, I'm so grateful that they did that. I'm so grateful that they took the time to send that email, because that snapped me right. I was like, holy crap, I did do that. Like, I took things too far, and that's not okay. And so no matter what your communication style is, and no matter how stressed out you are, especially when somebody is not causing the problem, or even if they are causing the problem, this level of communicating so disrespectfully, to the point where people feel attacked and people are just like, I don't even know how to respond to this. Like, guys, that's not okay. Like, sending you a text. Here's the thing. I am a late night texter. Let's be honest. Joe got one from me last night. He didn't respond. I'm fine with that. I get that. I was kind of just trying to figure things out. I understand that people have not weird, boundaries. So weird, Joe. Get less boundaries. I understand that people have normal boundaries. I'm going to send you a text whether you respond to it or not. I'm not going to be mad about it. But understanding, like, okay, yeah, boundaries are a thing. Like, let's engage in a little bit more boundaries. Let's think about what we say before we say it, no matter what your communication style is. Like, you have to be communicating respectfully. And that's a lot of, I don't think I've told you this story. A couple years ago, I got hired to come in and do some consultation work with somebody who was having a very bad experience with their general contractor. And they brought me in, and there were no signs that this woman was, no signs. So I reach out to the GC and I say, hey, can I explain the situation? Like, hey, I've been brought in, to kind of just help finish this thing out. And the lady goes, thank God you deal with her. And she sends me no less than 5 of the most inappropriate emails that this homeowner had sent to this general contractor. Turns out when she was on the sauce. So she would get crazy drunk at night. She would send these spicy drunk lady emails. And they were like, there's levels of irrational and crazy and nonsensical. I don't even know where this ranked. They were so crazy that I went to the homeowner and I was like, listen, I'm going to give you your money back. If you were to ever send me an email like this, I don't know that they'd find your body. So I'm just going to save your life and mine, because I don't look good in orange and I don't want to have to encase your body inside of a wall system. So here's your money back. Good luck. May the force be with you. And that is the thing. Like, just because you're paying somebody to do a job for you does not mean, I'm looking at whoever, you can talk to them however you want. We may be blue collar workers. we're doing a skill that you don't know how to do. Treat us with the same respect as you would treat anybody who's working on anything you care about that is doing work that you don't know how to do. Like, I can't stress how much important that is. Respectful communication all the way throughout. Yeah. Like, listen, come on. The fact that we even have to say that is kind of wild to me, but like just seeing so many examples, it's kind of crazy. Because you're not, the other interior designer shared a story about, I got this 4-page letter from the homeowner, and it was a massive amount of miscommunication, but it was also communicated in a way that was so aggressive that the lady just walked. She was like, okay, this just isn't what I went to school for.
Yeah. I mean, I've pulled off jobs. I've had clients call screaming and yelling over minor mistakes. It was a mistake. It was an admitted mistake. Yeah. We were making it right. And screaming and yelling at the phone, where I was finally like, you know what? I'm pulling my guys. I'm not going to stay there. I'm not going to be spoken to like this. My employees are not going to get spoken to like this. Yeah. And we pulled off the job, and it had to take a meeting of the minds to sit back down and be like, are we adults? Are we going to move forward? Because now we can if we're going to do that. But
right. But yeah, coming at it with respect and respectfully, can't stress this enough, guys. It feels like we all should have learned that in like grade 5. But if you're learning that now, it does matter how you communicate with the people that you're working with. No matter what industry you're in or what you're doing, that level of communication and respectful communication is really important.
And to tie in all of your things, you catch a lot of more bees with honey than vinegar. Right?
I like that.
So as a client, if you're looking to get your contractor to do something for you, being nice about it is a much easier way to get what you want.
So we knew that. I like somebody who is spicy. You guys, I'm spicy. So I have, really done some interesting things in my life. And even I, who is capable of just wild things coming out of my mouth, I am aware
how to behave.
Yeah. For the most part.
I don't know how to behave. I tell my husband when I'm upset with something and be like, you deal with this.
I wish I could do that. I'm just like, here's how I deal with it. I don't. I'm not dealing with it. I'm going to go take a nap.
Do we want them to come back? Yes, I want them to finish it, but I want them to finish it this way. It was our patio. There was a language barrier, and our contract was drawings and a few numbers on it.
Words, and some numbers?
No, not even words.
Oh, no words, literally
numbers. Pictures and numbers.
Oh, I love that.
That's what it was. And
mistakes were made there. That's not a clear contract.
That's not a clear contract. But yeah, so then when they said that they were done, but it looked nothing like my drawing. Like literally he drew it on a piece of paper.
And did not build what he drew.
I was like, where is this?
It's not that.
These things do not match. Look, circle, what's different?
Here, I have a highlighter.
Brad's like, I will talk to them.
He's like, honey,
this picture. This is what I want.
Honestly, we want your contracts to have words. That's an important thing. But tell me, Nicole, what do you think about? I think it's not a bad idea to go to your contractor with pictures. Like, maybe they're not in your contract. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I think pictures are a great way to so it's very clear. What do you think about putting pictures in contracts?
My contract has pictures.
Oh my God. Of course it does. Nicole.
She's like, how
are you doing this?
So my contract is actually a plan which has words and numbers and everything dictated as what it is. And then
it was before the podcast. Okay, now
Jess is like, stop hounding me.
And then renderings. So there are perspective renderings of their cabinet wall, their showers. If there's any specific details, like those things are highlighted. If there's something that we are copying from something else we've done or something they've sent us, they want us to build custom shelving that looks like this. That picture is on there too.
Okay, so I'm not crazy for saying pictures should be in your contract.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Look at you not being crazy.
not today. Well, not in this moment. I might get crazy later.
Now, I will say, though, there are different ways to get to that end result, right?
Right.
And so homeowners don't have the experience or the know-how on how those things have to be made. And that's kind of where their background comes in. Like, they've done a project themselves, they've watched it on TV, they've experienced somebody else doing something for them. So getting to the end result can happen in a variety of different ways. And you have to trust your contractor to know that they're going to get
So what advice would you give a potential client that has no experience? They've never done a home renovation. They don't know anything about, contracting, construction at all. What advice would you give a potential client at that experience level when it comes to understanding communication?
So you have to know yourself and know what you want. So if you're coming in and you're saying, well, I want to redo this bathroom, but I don't really know what I want to do in here.
Yeah.
Right. I know I want more storage. I know I want new tile, but I don't know what the finished product is going to look like. You have to know something, right?
Yeah,
You have to have a jumping off point. So whether that's finding photos, going on House, going on Pinterest or whatever, you have to have some sort of jumping off point so that you can use that as your communication step in order to get on the same page as your contractor. Don't just accept 2-line drawings without seeing products in there.
It was just a patio.
Now, right. So and there's difference, right? So with a patio or a deck, I mean, you're not like sitting there going through all of these different products. For what we do, there's a lot of things.
So many things.
One of the best tools that we have is our showroom. So clients come into our showroom, they get to see real bathrooms. There's 11 full bathrooms there. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So they can stand in a shower that's about the same size as the shower they're going to get. Because that's one of the things that is the hardest for people to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have this little 3x3 shower now and I want a bigger one, but I don't know what's too big and what's the right size and how does that feel? So they can actually stand in the shower. There's recessed niches. Well, there's a dozen or more ways of building a recessed niche. So showing the different versions of those, so they can actually pick it and be like, that's the one that I want. And now that's the one that they get. They get to open and close the cabinets, play with the drawers and the cabinet hardware. And we're pulling all those things together. Now, not everybody works that way, right? So you can work with a contractor who doesn't have a showroom.
Right.
That's okay. That's where maybe hiring an interior designer would come in, because they would be the ones to help you pick those materials out and put everything together for you. So you want to make sure that those parts and pieces go together, that you're understanding exactly what that material is. Because I can tell you, I'm giving you white shaker cabinets. Do you know how many shades of white there are?
True story.
So
many shades.
And also, like, more specifically, like, we did a renovation in the Turks and Caicos, which was a wild life experience. I don't recommend building on an island, off of an island. But listen, if you want to do it, do you, boo. What I found was even the assumptions about the materials was like, this client assumed that everything would be solid wood. Of course, they didn't want to pay a solid wood price, but they just made the assumption that it was going to be solid wood. And so realizing the importance of, on the general contractor side, being very specific in, the information that I'm giving, like, okay, listen, these are partially, the wood, the face is wood, the box is not wood, and being very clear. So, because I feel like that is a place where homeowners get really fired up and start to feel like you're not being honest with me or you're screwing me over. Because I expected, nobody told me to expect this, but I just, in my mind, I expected these to be solid wood cabinets. And I thought $16,000 for a kitchen full of solid wood cabinets was the right amount of money. It's not, just in case it's not.
But
I expected it to be.
Told me it was.
Chip and JoJo, they did it in somebody else's house, so you should be able to do it too. That's not how that works. So just realizing like that level of detail. And when you get quotes, I imagine you have a lot of competition, but at the same time, there's not a lot of kitchen and bath people that have showrooms. So you get brought in, people are hopefully getting 3 to 4 bids. Your number is going to be different because you're offering a different experience. So when you're, looking at these numbers, I mean, that is.
And one of the things I tell people is it's not like you're shopping for a refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
Where if you go to 4 different stores and you look at that refrigerator in each store and you don't buy it for the cheapest price.
Yeah.
You're just throwing money away.
Right.
You're not shopping like that when you're shopping for contractors.
Right.
And so that's where the communication and the trust and all of those things come in, right? Like you need to know our expertise, our experience. You need to see examples of work.
Yeah.
Whether that's in a showroom or photos of jobs or reviews or asking for references.
Yeah.
So you have to put all that information together in order to be able to decision.
And so factoring that in, when you're getting, just even in the estimate and the proposal section of it, when you're getting a 13-page, or I'm sure your proposals aren't 13 pages. What's your average length of your proposals?
Probably about 3 pages.
Okay, so you're getting a 3-page proposal that's listing the types of materials that are being used versus a 1-page. Maybe it has words, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has pictures, it has some numbers. Thinking about, okay, and now that's the cheaper number. Like you're getting a 3-page, very professionally done proposal, and then you're getting a 1-page with some drawing and numbers on it. It's going to be the cheaper number. And so then ask yourself, you're like, oh yeah, this is a better price, but is it better? Because they're communicating nothing with you in that document that is going to turn into a legally binding document, and they're providing you with absolutely nothing to protect you from this going wrong.
Yeah.
So is it the cheaper number? Because at the end of the day, it's probably going to cost you a lot more. So factoring those things in and thinking about those things is really important. And I know that it's hard. It's easy to say it when I'm not currently planning a renovation, or I'm not currently fielding, proposals and looking at, okay, there's a $10,000 or there's a $50,000 difference. I get that that's easy, but thinking through the long term, how is this going to end, I think is really important.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to communicate that to your contractor. So I've had plenty of clients who've been like, I've gotten a bid that was less than yours, and I've asked them to come in with it. I'll be like, we'll look it over. We'll compare.
Yeah.
You're never comparing apples to apples because the level of expertise varies.
Yeah.
The level of efficiency varies,
Yes.
right? So part of the cost or value that you're getting through us is that expertise and that project management that we're seeing it through the whole thing. You're not just, waiting to see when somebody shows up. We're there every day. We're efficient. But for the things that are controllables, the materials, those things we can look at and say, okay, well, they're giving you an allowance on tile. I'm giving you the tile you actually picked out. How does
really
that
big
compare?
difference? Yeah.
So those are
how
things.
much are they going to charge you for the tile that you want?
Right.
Is that
right? And that is a really good point. The difference between, and I deal with this all the time in what I do, an allowance and an actual quote. There is a huge difference in that. So I'm coming in and I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna allow in this budget, in this estimate, there's an allowance of $7,000 for your tile. Now, if you have clearly communicated what kind of tile you want, there should just be a price. Okay, we measured your bathroom. We know how much tile you're gonna need. You told us what kind of tile you want. This is the price for the tile. If somebody's coming in and saying, we're giving you an allowance of this, I am going to, especially when you were specific about the type of tile that you wanted, I'm throwing a flag on that play, because the reality is they don't want to tell you how much it actually costs, because they want the job, and then they want to come back and they want to be like, oh, by the way, you exceeded your allowance on the tile, so it's going to be $5,000 more.
Yeah, and that's where you get change orders in.
Yeah.
And so I would rather work with 0 change orders.
Yes, same. I hate a daggone change order.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
Things change, but the more that you can communicate up front, the more that you can be clear about what exactly they're getting and what's included, so that they understand it and you understand it and everybody signs off and agrees, the less
so
you have to deal with that.
allowance just means that they're going to say that you have X amount of dollars
to spend
put towards
on this item.
Yeah.
Yep.
and then if it's more, you have
to
come
pay
out
the
of
difference.
pocket.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah.
And
Just want to make sure that
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
cross all
Same
the
page.
T's,
depending on the contractor too, it could be your responsibility to go and find where you want to get that tile from, if that's what we're
Right.
talking about. And so then you got to do all that homework of going around to all those different places, and time is money.
Oh, yeah.
And so you as a homeowner are now going to 5 different places to try and find the tile that you want in a price
in
that
the
you
price
can,
that you
Yeah.
that
Right.
you're
Fits into
allowed.
the allowance, right?
and then if you get your floor tile from this place, but you can find your wall tile from the other place, you have to hope that those work together, that they're both available.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of going back to where the value of us is, where with the project management portion of it, you're not playing project manager.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go around and source all those things. You pick everything out with us in the showroom. And if there's by chance something we don't have, we go and source it and bring
Yeah.
it to the showroom to show you that, okay,
Yeah.
we found it. This is what we're going to use. Is this the one you want? So you want to have as much information as possible so that you can know clearly what you're going into. And I mean, I don't think it's wrong to ask your contractor to give more information on the contract.
Yeah. Honestly, if you're getting multiple quotes and there's somebody that you really want to work with, but they're the highest quote, myself included, Nicole, obviously, go to them and say, hey, listen, I really want to work with you. What is the difference between why is this one so much lower? Like, what am I missing here? Because if you end up paying the more amount of money, you're going to want to know. Because if you don't ask that question, that lower number is going to live rent free in the back of your head the entire renovation. And you're in your mind, you're going to make up this little la land delightful little story about how if you had gone with Joe Schmo, that was $10,000 less, you could get that Viking refrigerator. Could you? Or would Joe Schmo now have $20,000 worth of change orders? So because in his bid compared to a qualified person's bid, he had allowances, not actual quotes of how much the tile was going to cost. And that is a really big difference.
Yes. And I feel like too, some homeowners would think like, oh, I'm paying this much more, so now I expect more from them. Where if they had just gone and got their questions answered, they would have seen like, this is because, you going to communicate well. I already have the tile. I have the high end finishes of what you want. And that's all in here. Because some people think like, oh, if I'm paying more, like I want that white glove service. Well, sorry.
Right. Like this is just the price of what it costs. And this is,
yes,
I think the most frustrating thing for general contractors in general, especially the ones that are doing things the right way, they're competing against people who are not. And so everybody, you have to understand when you're getting multiple quotes, and this is why we preach on this. We preach on the importance of getting multiple quotes because you need to see the spread. You need to see the level of professionalism that each one of them are giving you. A 3-page proposal versus a 1-page proposal, questions. We have immediate questions. And so really understanding what things actually cost, which listen, Justin, I know that's tricky. It's a little tricky. So understanding what things really cost, asking questions, getting comfortable with the answers is really important to help your peace of mind. And when you go with that more expensive quote, make sure you understand that it's more expensive because you're getting what you pay for. You're not getting things for free because you're paying more. You're not getting the white glove service. This is just what things cost.
It is what it just costs.
You're getting the price to actually get it finished.
and you're getting high quality service.
Yeah.
It might not be like white glove. You want to pay extra for that.
It exists in the world, just not this one.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm not going to say we went off on a tangent, but we may not have hit everything on my show notes that I wanted to hit. Because I think the important thing is to understand is that one, we can only, control our communication style. And it's really important to understand what your communication style is. So if you're thinking about doing a renovation, we really want you to have the information that you need. So one thing that I put together with the help of my assistant ChatGPT was a survey that we're going to share with you guys that you can go to the website. Hopefully we're going to have it done. We're going to have it done by the time this goes live. So you can go to the website and you can take a survey that will help you identify using the DISC, the DISC. It's a communication style breakdown. It's like science. It's not like, this is my opinion. It's science. We use science. Me and ChatGPT, we use science. So there's a survey that you can use to figure out what your communication style is. And while you don't get to, decide what other people's communication style is, knowledge is power. So going into planning a renovation around having the information of, I know what kind of communication style I have, and therefore, when I go and I'm looking for these different, I can look for people who match my type of communication style. So we want to help set you up to have the best experience you can. So we're going to share with you, if you go to the website, you can download the communication style survey, and it is there for you to just have more knowledge to be able to better communicate. So please, if you're into that, if you want to communicate better, especially in construction or with a renovation, please do that. What is your tip or to leave the audience with, your final knowledge?
Down that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget.
Yes.
Okay. So as contractors, our job isn't just to build, it's to translate. So we have to translate what you're saying to us, what we're proposing, what we're doing. All of that stuff becomes translation, right? There's different languages. Homeowners are speaking in layman's terms. We're speaking in construction terms.
Yeah.
It's a completely different language, different genre. So we have to, as the contractors, as the builders, we have to provide translations to our clients. Clients need to be able to understand that, right? And so knowing your communication skill, knowing what communication style you are is part of it. But the beauty of the DISC is you can then learn, you can do it with your partner and say, okay, I'm an I and he's a C, and I can figure out, is it C or K?
Okay.
C, right?
No,
Yeah,
C. Sorry.
I was trying to remember. So he's a C, so I can communicate this way in order to get him. Now, you're not going to be able to get your contractor to tell you oh yeah, I'm an I, and that's the way that I need to receive information.
Probably not.
They're probably not going to do that.
Unless it's Nicole.
I'm an I, by the way. But you want to be able to know how you receive information and how whoever you're talking to best receives information. So I would encourage you to tell people and be like, I'm a learner. I need to know this. This is how I learn best, right? So like I said, I need to know the why. Yeah. Right. I'm doing the research. I'm going through everything. That's how I learn best. Yeah.
And how you feel more comfortable.
Right. And that's how I communicate. But not everybody needs that level of information. Yeah. Some people are just like, just give me the bullet points. I'm good. And I'll move on. So knowing that's really what's going to help you, is just knowing how you communicate, knowing how you can receive that information. And then as GCs, how we can translate all that into our building.
That is wonderful and a delightful amount of information. I hope you guys found our slightly more regimented podcast platform delightful. Let us know in the comments down below. Also, please go to chicksandconstruction.com and download our DISC personality type survey to help you not personality type, communication style survey to help you communicate better with not just your general contractor, but also maybe your spouse. Who knows? Maybe we're saving relationships over here. What are we doing? We don't know. With that said, Jess, where can they find us on all the socials?
So on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, it's at Chicks and Construction Podcast. On TikTok, it's at Chicks and Construction.
So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.